Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Talking Triathlon, a triathlon podcast where we talk about triathlon. My name is Tim Ford. That's James Bale. I think I said triathlon. I've said triathlon 6 or 7 times. And we're 20 seconds into the episode, Jimbo. Hey, going, mate? What's going on?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. I'm not too bad. It's made it to Thursday night. I am absolutely knackered, mate, if I'm honest.
No,
I'm
you're not. You're not. Don't lie. Don't
It's
lie to the people. I
been a
know what you
week.
do. You tell them this is what you do every week. You start, "Oh, I'm so busy. I'm so tired. I barely have the energy for the podcast." And then you come alive like a
Ha!
butt-in
Oh, don't
flower,
get me
mate,
wrong.
every time.
The energy is here. I'm just it's just been a week. It's been a week because I'm on my own at home this week. So I'm having to do all my training when I've put the kids to bed. I don't get on the treadmill or the turbo trainer till about half eight, 9 o'clock, and then I do my hour and a half, 2 hour session, whatever it is. So it's been lots of late night training
So you're
this
a bit
week.
of a
And
bit of a nighthawk, mate.
yeah, man, 14K on the treadmill on Sunday night,
Ooh.
starting at half eight was all took all the mental strength I've got.
Mate, just get yourself a little head torch and run around the block or something instead. That's
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, this is mate. This
Parent
is
of the
this
year.
this is what people do. This is what people the parents out there doing the sport of triathlon do. So you're relatable, mate. You're out there representing those other men and women of the sport who have children that they have to balance that work life thing, mate. So well done. I'm sure there's many of our listeners who can hear what you're saying,
Everyone
and
relates. Everyone relates. How are you, mate?
I don't relate because I don't have children, and I've been doing my training. I finish work and then I do my training. It's been wonderful. No, all good here, mate. I am doing a little race this weekend. Doing a bit of a got a big weekend of training coming up. Actually, I'm going to be
Half
doing
marathon, isn't it?
yeah. So I'm doing a half marathon Sunday morning, but I'm also going to go out and do a pretty long, hard ride on the Saturday and a run tonight. I want to go into it basically pretty fatigued and try to run hard. I like to do it. It's kind of like doing I mean, it's not a brick session, but it is that replication of trying to run well on tired legs, like you do in a triathlon.
Yeah,
So
just don't make the mistake of going into it expecting a PB this time.
I've learnt my lesson, don't
Understand
I?
the context of where you are.
Absolutely, that's going to be a big thing. I am hope my feet are still a little bit iffy after the marathon, where those big blisters were. Like the skin's still a little bit raw, so I might be bandaging those up before the race. But other than that, no, all good here, mate. Just there's just been so much happening in triathlon, so much to discuss. Like we did on our bonus show that we recorded a couple of days ago. We've been good this week. We recorded, well, we were good in the sense that we were late with the show, but we recorded a bonus show. Now we're doing the regular episode. Mate, it's just a good time to be a fan of talking triathlon. There's just content galore.
Oh,
And if
it's
you want
kicking
that,
off, isn't it?
and if you
It's
want that
kicking
content, head to
daily.
patreon.com/talking triathlon where you can sign up for $5 a month. Gets you that bonus monthly episode. There's got to be 15 or 20 of them at this point. I can't remember. I've lost count. The WhatsApp group, which actually is where I found a fair bit of news this week because I haven't been following it as closely as usual. Not that there's that much happening. Strava group, Facebook group, all that stuff supports us. Again, this month of October, all the money we raise is going towards James Bale's charity for the London Marathon. So if you want to support Jimbo going to the London Marathon as well as get some little treats for yourself, apart from the thought of James running a marathon, which I'm personally quite amused by, is patreon.com/talking triathlon so you get that bonus episode. That's the plugs out of the way, mate.
Talking about the marathon, are you using your Sydney time to get a place in London? Is that a real thing? Is that happening?
I've been doing a bit of research and it says it's for UK people. So I'm wondering if I can trick the system by using a UK address. Like, I don't know how they know.
Yeah,
You know what I
maybe.
mean? I don't know how they know.
Yeah, yeah. Say you live with me.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, I think I will try to be doing that.
Nice.
Good for age. Actually,
Good
did
for
you?
age. Yeah.
I'm on. We recently made the switch from Twitter to Threads because Twitter is a fucking cesspit of
Yeah, I've deleted
chocolate
all my
shit.
accounts now. They're all gone.
Yeah,
I'm never going on Twitter again.
thank God, mate. Like I occasionally go in there. I went in there 2 days ago to check the Talking Triathlon Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Twitter account, and instantly, I think one of the first things I saw was like, "This is why I left Twitter." Anyway, on Threads because I put up a run post about my marathon. I get serves a lot of running content, and a big
Hmm.
thing was the Boston Marathon qualification times changed. Did you see this? Do you know this? Are you aware of this?
Yeah, I did. I am aware of that. Yeah.
My qualification time was good enough for that too. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, they'd altered it. They'd altered it slightly. Um, So yeah, is that something that interests you, the
Nope,
Boston Marathon?
not at
No,
all. I don't even know what's
no.
the big deal about it, to be honest. So no, I'm
No,
good.
I don't. I think it's one of these things that because it's got a qualification time on it, it makes it more people seem to be more interested in doing it
So if we say you can only be a patron of Talking
if you
Track
qualify.
if you've
Yeah.
qualified for
To,
something,
to qualify to be a patron talking triathlon. No, I mean I think it's a very renowned race, isn't it? But
why
I
is
don't
that though?
think I'm enough of a run head to really understand the intricacies. I suppose it's like someone who doesn't do triathlon trying to understand why the allure of going to somewhere like Kona or Nice or
Yeah, but at least Kona's Hawaii, right? It's a Hawaiian island,
yeah.
as opposed to every time I've seen any footage of Boston, it looks fucking
Boston.
miserable. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, it does. It's a bit grey, isn't it?
but I mean, I understand. I think it's because it's meant to be. I don't know to be. I don't downhill run or something, but
Yeah, pretty much. I think there's a lot of downhill in it.
because there's the majors of the what are the majors? There's Chicago, there's Boston, there's Berlin, there's London, there's Tokyo. Is that it? And maybe Sydney.
But
Maybe Sydney.
Sydney not yet, but he's
But
trying
yeah,
to qualify.
of
Yeah,
all of those, the ones I'd like to do, I'd love to do Japan or Tokyo, just because it's Japan
it'd be mental, wouldn't it?
and London. The rest, well, Berlin would be cool, but like,
Berlin would be cool. Going through the Brandenburg Gate would be pretty sweet.
yeah, running over like in Sydney. Not that it's a major yet, but I'll admit, running over the Sydney Harbour Bridge was pretty awesome, and
Yeah, I bet.
finishing right down at the Opera House, like you're coming down, you got the you're absolutely ruined, but you do take a moment to go, fucking hell, this is pretty good. And that's
Yeah.
where, actually, interestingly, where the marathon finishes, that's right near where the 2000 Olympics triathlon finished too. And it was the same run down, like the run we come down is the way that the run course in 2000 at the Olympics finished. Man, that must have been a great. I'd love to see more. I know they used to do some triathlon events there, but like, what a venue for a triathlon. If they could work out a way to put more of those in Sydney, I think it'd be so spectacular. I know from like working with Mana and Chris the Supertri or Super League tried to put on a race in Sydney, and it was just because the Opera House is like a potential terrorist target. The costs associated with closing it down or hosting an event there, like you have to have so many police and so much fence and all this stuff, just was like absolutely ludicrous. Maybe that's changed.
Astronomical.
I don't know, but again, great venue. So
So if you do get into London, we just got to have to hope that we're in the same entry because they've got like four or five different starting areas that all feed into the so you loads of people you start in different places and then you all meet at about 3 miles, I think.
okay, so if I just go at an easy, I don't know, like 350 pace, you catch up and then we'll just, go through like, I don't know, 358, 355, something
Yes.
like that. To
Sounds perfect, mate.
aim for sub
Yeah.
250 marathon.
Yeah, why not?
No,
Why
I
not?
think I think if I go there for London I'm gonna go do it with you. Like I'm not gonna go there and try to absolutely crush it or anything. Although I say that and the gun goes and something else might happen. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know. Yeah, I don't know. I have to do more research into it. But yes, if I'm doing it or not, I'm coming. I'll be there 100%. Lock that in. I might as well
Sweet,
book.
sweet.
I'll be there for that, which I'm looking forward to. But let's start with things we're looking forward to, and something we realized happened a few weeks ago that we hadn't discussed, and that is the T100 Las Vegas Wildcards have been announced. And I don't know why this keeps happening, but these T100 races keep sneaking up on me, and I go, "Oh shit, that's
Yeah.
because it's
They
next
do me
weekend."
as well, yeah. It's like I don't know, it's maybe it's because it's so new and I haven't really hinged the dates in my head yet. Because we haven't really got them in our head, have we? This is the first year we've really had the this bigger season. But do you want me to go through the wild cards?
Yeah, I think it's. I think a big part of it was it's fucking October already. Like I can't.
I know.
There's been so many things this year. So again, not that my admission as a solicitor is next weekend, and I remember when I got the date and the approval, that was fucking months away. It's next week. Like it's actually next week, and I'm going, oh shit. And then it's like November, and then it's November, and then
And
like
it's Christmas and
we've
then
booked our work Christmas pump function. Like it's just like this year has just gone as it always does. Bloody hell. But yeah, I think that's probably what it is with this Las Vegas PTO race, T100 race, is that yeah, it's like Kona's in what, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, three weeks,
yeah, yeah.
2 weeks,
Uh 2 weeks
2 weeks
as
tomorrow.
of recording. Yeah.
Yeah.
2 weeks Saturday, yeah. So at
Jesus.
Las Vegas, the men's wild cards, we've got Kyle Smith,
Hmm.
we've got Yuri Kulin,
Hmm.
Mika Newt,
Hmm.
Mark Durbrick,
Hmm.
Yella Gaines,
Hmm.
Henry Skuman,
Hmm.
Joshua Amberger,
Hmm.
Justice Naslag,
Jesus
Nicholas
Christ.
Mann, Justin Reel. So
Any
one, two, three,
fucking
four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, nine wild cards on the men's front.
wow. Wow.
Yeah. So not a
Uh
particularly full contracted athletes list on that one, which I suppose is not to be too unexpected because we've got, like you say, we've got Kona coming up, which is 2 weeks. So you don't really want to go and race T100 Vegas and then hop over to Kona because you want to be in Kona 2 to 3 weeks before that race, acclimatizing to that temperature, getting used to the course and the environmental conditions.
Spoiler alert, there's literally nothing to get used to on that course. It is the most boring course in sport. It's terrible.
No, I mean the heat
Yeah, I
and the
know,
wind,
I
though.
know, I know. I'm just any opportunity to have a little dig at the Kona course. I'll get that cracking. Yeah, I think that it's an interesting. There's parts of this that I love, and there's parts of it that I'm a bit okay. Like Carl Smith, 100% should have got a contract in the first place. I like that they're rectifying that by giving him the wild cards. I hope that whatever kept him out of Ibiza is done and dusted because Kyle is probably there's of the athletes that get me most excited about this series. Kyle Smith is definitely one of them. Yuri Coolin, we know that he sort of just by default has a wild card for every event after winning. He
Yeah.
won Singapore, I think it was what he won. Then you go into the two that I mean, Mark Dubrick, I've seen every time they put up a post about the wildcards, there seems to be a lot of people asking for Mark Dubrick. What he did in Challenge Beijing against Carl Smith and Henry Skuman, he's earned that spot. And plus, Mark is a very, very good guy. I've had the pleasure of meeting Mark a number of times, and he's very good guy, really good swimmer.
Yeah.
But then you put in Yellow Gaines and Henry Schumann, and that's what gets me excited. And again, not because I'm Henry's manager, but because of that thing that I love and the thing that excites me the most about this middle distance racing is when you see the short course guys racing the long course guys. Uh, I'm very, very keen for this fact, like this part of the race. I know that both Henry's looking to transition to middle distance racing slash long course from next year. So this is very much the start of that journey. And I'm assuming based on what Yellow Gaines has done this year and the lack of visibility we've had of him at the short course, or like I know he's been there, but we've not really seen him do much. I'm assuming it's probably a similar sort of trajectory. And that gets me keen.
Yeah, and like you say, it brings a very different dynamic, doesn't it? Because you start to see the short course skills. It's kind of like what we saw with Taylor Spivey. I know she wasn't there at the end of the race particularly, but she led out the swim, and you're going to see these short course guys come to these races like this and bring that extra speed into that swim. And then, the bike's going to be the question mark, I think, when you're going from racing short course racing to racing long course on the TT bikes. The bike is where things start to be a bit, can you still be there? But if you are still there at the end on the run, because the T100 isn't Ironman distance, it's T100 distance, 18K, they've got the run speed to carry that through as long as they haven't slogged themselves too hard on the bike.
Have you seen the bike course, the profile of this race? Because it's from what I've seen, mate, it's pretty hilly. I can't remember if it was in the WhatsApp group or somewhere else, but somebody shared the profile. They'd gone out and ridden the course, and it was just up and down. Like I think it's going to be an excellent bike course from that point of view. And then I think that as you talk about that race dynamic, I mean, I'll stay on this hill and argue it to the day Henry Scuman's the best swimmer in the sport. Mark Dubrick is one of the best swimmers in the sport. Cosmith is a very good swimmer. You've got Martin Van Riel in there, very good swimmer. Like you're gonna have some real upfront power, and a lot of those guys, like Martin Van Riel, and that could do some real damage on the bike. And like, I just see this being that could be really, really interesting. Uh, like I mean, Josh Amberger also excellent swimmer. Like there's going to be a lot of swim power at this race, and I think that what we could see is, Sam Long's going to be there. I believe he has to because he's missed a few races now, so we're going to see that classic Sam Long coming through from the back, trying to get back to the front of the race. Again, I find I am so perplexed about what happened to Sam this season, considering he was so good at the start of the year with those T100 performances. Like to me, I thought Sam Long's going to win this thing, and here we are, and he's done two Ironmans now this year, and I'm left kind of going, is he still focused on the T100? What where are we at with that? But I do like the fact that we're going to see that dynamic hopefully play out again. I mean, it didn't happen in London. We saw that he was too far behind and could never get back up. It might happen here, but then again, the course being as hilly as it is might mean that his strength, this raw power, might mean that he can actually get back up faster. So that's something I'm really interested in. What about the women?
It's I think like you say though, if you combine the power and strength of the fast swimmers at a race like this, I think the gap might be quite sizable for someone like Sam Long to try and bridge.
Yeah. That's kind of my because again, that's what we saw in London, right? We saw that in London he was just too far back. And I think he had a mechanical anyway, but he never came. I mean, he was good on the run, but he ended up sort of pacing Sam Laidler a little bit because he was a lap down, which is not what we want to see. I want to go back to seeing what he did in Miami and Singapore, where he ran through the fields. Again, it's like talk about a tale of two seasons for Sam, right? Where at the start he was just like, fuck, he's back, look how good he is. And then the middle was just kind of reminiscent of when he did that European tour and everything was just a little bit all over the place. And then, I mean, like fucking hell, Chattanooga, he won it. Like, it's funny that race. Firstly, yes, we know this. God, the number of people that told me that the course was short. I hear you. I get it. Fucking sorry, I didn't check Strava. But I think the fact that the swimmers cancel sort of in my head relegates it to less. Like it just doesn't feel like I don't know what, maybe the fact that it was the same weekend as Ibiza, but yeah, it's just, I'm curious to see where is that still because there's still a lot of this year. There's a few races left this year and yeah, I want Sam to do well. So
So unsurprisingly, the women's field doesn't have the Kona effect. So we've only got four wildcards on the women's side, and that's Hayley Chura,
mhm,
Jackie Herring,
mhm.
Grace Thek, and Marlene de Boer.
Is that Alex de Boer's daughter? I wonder.
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, cool. I actually thought Jackie Heron had a contract. Yeah, much less. Hey, the True's done a few races. Jackie Heron's done a few races. Who's the third one? Sorry, Grace Thick.
Grace Thek, yeah.
I suppose she's seventh in Hawaii. Sorry, seventh in Nice. So yeah, well deserved.
Yeah.
Would like to have seen a few
Um,
short course athletes thrown in there, but I know we
looking at
can't.
the start list as well, it looks like Lucy Charles-Barclay's back on this start list, so should see her racing as well, which would be interesting.
I've just realized why we're not seeing more short course. It's the same. It's the same weekend as the grand final. I should have known that. That's why we're not seeing any of those women. Which again also shows, I guess, Henry and Yele are sort of going all in on short course if they're missing the grand final for
Yeah.
it.
All in
So,
on long course.
which is good. Which is good. Uh,
But we've got Taylor Spivey racing on the start list here on the women's side.
yep. And
So
Florida Duffy.
yeah, Taylor Knibb.
Yep.
Um,
Spoiler alert: Taylor Knibb wins it by 10 minutes.
yeah, yeah. I'm interested to see Marjolaine Pierre and how she goes after Nice because I really enjoyed watching her at Nice.
Yeah, yeah. I actually didn't realize that she's actually now being coached by Reece Barclay. So I think that's a cool little team up. I messaged Reece about it when I found out. I was like, mate, you got a good eye for spotting talent, Reece. You only coach the best. That's what he said. I said, that's right, Tim. I only coach the best athletes. So she's in the Reece Barclay school. You can expect big things from Marjolaine. But again, I think, yeah, definitely one to watch. So that'll be cool. Do you want to stay on the PTO, mate, or do we want to keep talking about start lists, or what do you think?
Let's have a chat about the PTO and their announcement, major announcement.
Major,
Shit's
huge
getting real,
announcement.
man. Shit has got real.
Let
It's
me let me
World Triathlon and PTO have announced a major 12-year partnership deal.
let's talk about our journey to this point because we sat down this morning and well, this evening for you and we're like, what are we going to talk about? And the first thing we both said was the major announcement of the 12-year strategic partnership.
It's in capitals as well, so there must be fucking so much information to trawl through there.
The best part is we both pull up the same article and there's silence as we're reading it together before we hit record, and then both of us are like, "What? What is
Yeah,
this?
what have they done?
What are
What
they
have they done?
doing?" Take
So
us through
it
it, Jimbo.
says World Triathlon Professional Triathletes Organization of PTO have announced a 12-year strategic partnership in a bid to grow the sport. Now I'm going to do a bit of reading. We don't normally do that anymore, but just to make
Well,
sure I get this
well,
across.
there's so much information in this, so it's really actually important that you do, mate.
Yeah,
We don't want to miss
it
any of
is.
the details.
Following the announcement of August 2023 to collaborate on a new official World Championship tour of long distance triathlon and the launch of the T100 Triathlon World Tour in January 2024, World Triathlon and PTO have taken their work together a step further by expanding their commercial relationship to grow the sport longer term. The initial partnership term is for 12 years, running through 2036, and will include the sole and exclusive official World Championship Tour of long distance triathlon, anti doping, safeguarding, and collaboration on rights management, including sponsorship and broadcast. It also includes a framework for both parties to explore new opportunities to grow the sport together, including hosting shorter distance events alongside the T100 Tour.
And there we go.
So yeah, it just sounds like they got into bed together for the next 12 years, basically, and they're going to do what they have been doing, but they've just signed something that says it's going to run until at least 2036, and I think it's interesting they use the word the exclusive official World Championship Tour of long distance triathlon.
Sole and exclusive. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
really
solely.
really doubling down on the terminology. I yeah, cool, cool. That's cool. It doesn't mean anything. It's not going to like we
No, it
for
doesn't
years.
change anything, does it?
No.
From our perspective, or from an audience perspective, or what we're expecting. When you see the headline, World Triathlon announces major 12-year partnership deal, you expect to read it and for something about your engagement or enjoyment with what they're doing to have changed or altered, or for something to have improved. All this is back sort of engine house stuff. It's all behind the curtain stuff, and they've just decided to extend it at least to 2036. I mean, fair play, good. I suppose it shows that they're putting a roadmap to their partnership, and from their perspective, they're both happy. Both parties are happy with what they're doing and what they're providing, and the ambition to do more in the future. So I suppose that's a good thing. But from my perspective, I don't see anything particularly changing from what I get from the sport from this announcement.
Few- I'll say a few things about it. Firstly, I love anything that is about trying to grow the sport. Anything trying to grow the sport is like fucking yes, please. Give it to me now. Hit me with it. And if that's the intention of this, like genuinely wonderful. Again, say what we will about our thoughts about the T100 or whatever. PTO's trying. Like to me, that they have had a positive impact. We've seen the launch of the Ironman Pro Series as a result of the PTO. We've seen the athletes get paid more as a result of the PTO. Like there is a lot of good coming from it, and if that's the intention with this, fantastic. My concern is that it's World Triathlon, and as much as I've like, been impressed by their improvements in their broadcast and stuff, I mean, they're talking about sponsorship opportunities. Hasn't the World Triathlon been struggling to find sponsors for their events, and haven't they actually been losing events? So I'm assuming that a big part of this is going to be about them trying to mutually try to find race locations where they can put on a World Triathlon Championship Series race and a long distance race at the same time to build efficiencies there. That to me means less opportunities or less venues for races. Means if that's the case, well, we're probably going to see less of what I keep talking about, where we see the short course athletes come up if the races are on at the same time or same venue. Or again, I don't know. That's just a speculation. The rights thing, brilliant. Again, I think I probably have a much more thorough, deep understanding of the intellectual property stuff as a lawyer who sort of specializes. A big part of my job is about rights management and intellectual property. The sponsorship thing, yeah, just leaves me scratch my head a bit. But the sole and exclusive world title, like, come on. We've been hearing that, like, how long has the IT Long Distance World Championships been the exclusive? In fact, that's interesting. Does that mean that their Long Distance World Championships is gone? If this is the sole and exclusive? That
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
you
You'd think so.
Yeah, that's what I mean, to be honest. It's been diminishing and dwindling year on
Yeah.
year anyway.
I
But
worry about the sponsorship element of it. I worry that World Triathlon will bring a negative um, impact to the sponsorship side of things.
look, I said this on our bonus episode this week, and we spoke about it a lot. I actually am a big believer that there needs to be some massive overhauls to the commercialization and the sponsorship restrictions around long distance racing. Uh,
I agree with you.
yeah, I just think it's not absolutely not what they're doing short course. Like as we spoke about it, if you guys want to get my full in-depth thoughts about that, head to patreon.com. But
Fucking
maybe
right. Let's make sure they don't take the short course model.
yeah.
This is what I mean by the negativity of it, and bring it to the T100. You don't, the last thing these athletes need who are trying their damnedest to live a life whilst being a pro triathlete is to have additional restrictions put on them of how they can get sponsored, where they can get sponsored, what where the logos are meant to be, what logos they're meant to have where, and having logos forced on them because they're part of the World Triathlon. So yeah, no man, we
Well,
need we need freeing up of this ecosystem, not tightening up of it.
the other thing, and this isn't necessarily about this deal, but this is something I've already noticed this year in my dealings with the T100 and things. And this isn't a PTO thing. This is a World Triathlon thing. But the fact that you now need to go through the World Triathlon or the governing bodies to get onto a start list through the waitlist system for these T100 events, like I still see there being potential issues. As I've said, a lot of these federations that are now going to control the entries are funding a lot of the best short course athletes. They put a lot of pressure and restrictions on what those athletes can and can't do. I know for a fact that if athletes who are short course athletes want to go and do one of these races, they get asked questions or they are put pressure on by the federation, like, are you sure you should be doing this? We want you to do this other thing. Even though the athlete stands to make a lot more as a result of going to a T100 race, I see that becoming more if they're then also going to have, again, this is us speculating about the dates, if that's what they're talking about. But if the races are going to be at similar times or locations, we're going to see less of that. And I personally also think that every time we talk about the wildcards, there is this, it just isn't as exciting as I think it could be. The wildcards to me should be like literally like there's a game I play called Balatro where all the Joker cards are like these crazy things that do mad things. And that's what the wildcard should be. Because you have to go through the wait list of National Federation based on rankings, we are seeing what seems to me a relatively what's like it's vanilla
Sanitizes it.
sanitize exactly waters it down.
Yeah.
And that is just when you get a national or governing body involved, that's what happens because they're bureaucrats. So there's those aspects that I don't like. Again, I look at it and I just every time I think of what World Triathlon does, I don't see PTO has the opportunity to be I guess, kind of like Supertri or Super League should have been.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the agitators.
Disrupt exactly. And instead of going, no, we're in bed with you. Like I've said this 100 times on the show and other things. Supertri or Super League getting into that MOU with World Triathlon was a mistake, a huge mistake, a disaster, in fact. And I think they've been trying to get back from that point ever since. Yeah, I don't know. I just think they put too much emphasis on the world title thing. No matter what you guys do and call it, Ironman is still going to be Ironman. We see it. We've seen it this year. We've seen it every year that there's people are more, no matter what we do, people are more excited. The athletes are foregoing the contracted race series they're paid to be at to go and do a world championship that there's no guarantee that they're going to make an income from, that they're going to actually complain about being too expensive. They still do it anyway because it means more. And that could change over 12 years, but I still think that like that focus on it, it's still not enough of a factor yet, and it could change. I hope it does. But yeah, it's just there's a lot of this stuff which is like, again, I hope it works, but I do just go, no, this isn't a major announcement. This is much the same. Okay, cool.
Yeah, they have got a lot of work to do to bridge the gap that I wish didn't exist between them and Ironman when it comes to capturing the interest of the public, because the sport is still fundamentally a sport that's about participation and not fanship.
Here's again a hypothetical situation for you. So yes, you're gonna have to speculate a little bit, James. If this was a major announcement, let's say it's the same day we see Pito's launched a major partnership for 12 years, but instead of it being World Triathlon, it was Ironman. What do you think your reaction would be?
Oh, that would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It would be, yeah, I don't know. There would be I'd be much more intrigued, I think.
Yeah.
That would be it's very difficult because without any details of based on a hypothetical, it's hard to say. But I think in that all I can say to that answer is the moment I wake up and I turn my phone on and I see a headline, the headline PTO announces major deal with World Triathlon is much less interesting to me than
Exactly.
PTO announces major deal with Ironman. In that moment, before I had any details or anything, I would be like, oh, as opposed to like, oh, for fuck's
Well,
sake. You know what I mean?
let's say it's a like for like. Like let's unpack this a little bit. Let's say it's a like for like announcement, except everywhere it says World Triathlon, let's remove World Triathlon and let's put in Ironman. And instead of it being short course, we'll say long course. So we'd have them work together to create a sole and exclusive long distance world championship series. Fuck yeah, that would be awesome. Like imagine
It
it,
would be awesome. It would be awesome. Take the good bits of the PTO, the good bits of Ironman, and create a super group like Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. Basically, you know,
yeah,
you'd have let the PTO do the broadcast, let them do the commentary, let them take care of all of that shit. Bring that game to the Ironman races, and let the Ironman take care of some of the other bits and pieces. Being Ironman, bringing eyes to it, the power of that word. Because if you're some sort of engagement and someone says, "Oh, you've done an Ironman," they're like, "Oh." If you say you've done a T100, they're like, "I don't know what that
the
fucking is."
Terminator. You got
Yeah,
chased by a metal man. uh, the sponsorship and rights. I think Ironman pretty good with that, to be honest. Like
yeah.
again, I think that they seem to get more sponsors than World Triathlon or T100. What was the other stuff? That's
Anti-doping. I mean, that's
look, to be honest, that's something we haven't touched on. That is something that we have massively looked over, and I think with the current state, that is actually a huge positive because there has been a bit of criticism about the anti-doping system that T100 uses. So that's a big win. Again, I think that is actually negligent on us. We should have focused more on that because that is a huge positive of this. I think that
yeah. Agreed.
yeah.
Agreed.
So
And safeguarding as well. That's something that needs improvement.
yeah. So again, it's good. I just think that yeah, man, I'd love to see that. Yeah, where there's that proper partnership between PTO and Ironman because it's yeah the sole and exclusive world title. It's not. It might be officially, but I mean, that's as long as as long as the sport's been doing its thing. We've all known that the 70.3 and Ironman world titles aren't official, but they are.
Yeah. No, indeed, they are. It depends. It's your definition of official, isn't it? As official as being told it's official, or as official as if you win the Ironman, you're much more likely to bring more sponsors your way. You're going to bring more brands to want to work with you. You're going to get more people following you. You're going to amplify your career much more than at the moment you're going to by winning a T100 series or a T100.
On world titles, I just want to touch on it because I think we'll go into it a lot more depth next week. Is the WTCS Grand Final, which is happening in Spain. My my no somewhere I can't remember where in Spain. It's I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. Uh, what I want to touch on is the fact that Alex Yee now is basically in an unbeatable position, really. Like in theory, I know that there's extra points, but it would take something pretty significant for Alex not to win his first WTCS world title. Do you think that like we saw Christian again, people might not realize this, but Christian Blumenfeld actually won the WTCS Grand Final in 2021, a world title.
Did he?
He's actually a
Did he?
world
Did he bollocks?
he's a WTCS world champion. Again,
I had no idea.
a lot of ignorant people actually don't realize this and don't acknowledge that often enough for Christian. But Christian won the Olympics and then went on and won the world title that same year. I feel like Alexi has stumbled every grand final in recent times. Alex hasn't performed. We saw what he did in Waihai a couple of weeks ago, where he was in another fucking stratosphere to everybody else. I see him probably as a sure thing for this at this point. I mean, I know
Yeah,
anything can happen, but
yeah, yeah, pretty much. I think so. It it would it would be very surprising if he didn't take it, I think.
fuck, he's good this year. Like really talk about like we talk a lot about the way that Christian really built into 2021 to just peak at the perfect time. Alexi, like what a season. What a spoiler alert. I think I know who's getting my male triathlete of the year award this year. He has been just fucking so good. So good. Like to yeah. Anyway, enough of that. Where do
I
you want
think the
to go?
more exciting going into the world final is the women's race. The gap between Cassandra Bergan and Beth Potter is not great, and
Mm.
either of them could take this world title in that race.
Cassandra's been really fascinating to watch post Paris because she came out of the gates really strong, and then we've sort of seen her falter a little bit. And
Yeah,
we will talk about Supertri, but I think it was I can't remember if it was Will in the commentary or if it was one of the team managers, and they were saying oh, it was Annie Emerson, I think, and she said that while she's one of the most talented athletes on it, she's also one of the most complex athletes on the planet. I thought that is actually a very accurate way of describing Cassandra Bragrant. She's a very complex character and not in a positive or negative way. There is just a lot of complexity to her. And she's also, again, brilliant season, but she has seemed a bit more inconsistent, I suppose. But when she's on, she's again on another level. Like she is the Alexi of women's race, and she's the Cassandra Bergrand, or you could say that Alexi is the male version of Cassandra Bergrand, but she just isn't as consistent, I suppose. Like there does seem more variation in her performance.
Yeah. But
So
she's leading the standings in World Triathlon with 2,750 points.
hmm,
And Beth Potter is in second with 2,636.26 points.
fucking hell, honest to fucking World
Fuck, I
Triathlon.
hate it.
Just
Like, what is
stop
this?
it. Just
Just simplify it.
well, my favorite
Point
part,
two.
my favorite part of watching the World Triathlon Championship Grand Final is listening to the commentators try to do the maths, and they cannot do it. It's physically impossible. You hear Trevor all the time going, "I'm not really. I think it's if this happens, then maybe it's too complicated. So they need to." Maybe that's part of the strategic partnership between World Triathlon and the T100 is the T100 go, guys, we give 35 points for a race win. And then we go down in consistent increments. We don't give like 63 million billion trillion 0.73 for a win.
Point
And then
two.
oh, that 0.25 is the difference, man. What the hell? What,
Yeah.
what, what the fuck are you giving a 0.25 point for?
Oh, it's madness, isn't it?
It's just like
Like,
that. It's just like a dog licking its own balls, right? It's just so fucking self-gratifying. Fuck off. 0.25 points. Jesus.
so before we get into Toulouse, we've got the Ironman Kona World Championship start list. Do you want to hear it?
Oh, mate, hit me with it. Because it is actually a pretty sexy start list, if I'm honest.
It is. I'm just going to read down Sam Laidlow, Patrick Lang, Magnus Ditlev, Gustav Eden, Christian Blumenfeld, Rudy von Berg, Leon Chevier, Arthur
Chevalier.
Horsou, yeah, Bradley Weiss, Gregory Barnaby, Robert Williwicki, um,
Willowiceki.
Clement Filet Mignon, Matt Burton, Rasmus Svenningsson. Who
Got that
else?
one
Who I'm
right.
picking up,
You
picking
got
up
that one right.
names. Got that one right. Sam Appleton, Peter Heimerick, Daniel Beckergaard, Matt Hansen, Jackson Laundry. Who else is
Don't
worth a
you leave Mike
mention
Phillips
as
off
I
that
go
list,
down?
mate.
Christian Hogengard, Mike Phillips,
Good man.
Braden Curry, Lionel
Lionel
Sanders,
Sanders.
David McNamee, Camworth, yeah,
Mm.
amongst many others. It is a stacked field, mate. I love this field going into this race.
People saying, this is what I mean though. All year we've been hearing, oh, the T100 is a world championship level field. And then you actually get a world championship level field and you go, oh no, this is a world championship level field. And again, the contrast to what we saw in it, no discredit, there was just a lot of like it wasn't this. Much like we saw in Kona last year. But mate, this is unbelievable. This is so good. I'm
It really is, isn't it? It's strength and depth in this field, and lots of variations as to what could happen. And at the top of my list for what could happen is Christian Blumenfeld just absolutely batters everybody. But there's also a lot around this, isn't there? You never know what form people are going to be in as they go into these races, and we've got some very strong bikers in this field. We could have quite a lump of people coming into T2.
I think that's actually my dream scenario. I think I can't remember who it was in our WhatsApp group put up a thing saying, God, are we just going to see a pace line of 20 coming together in a T2? And I'm thinking, I fucking hope so. That's what I want
Yeah.
so badly. That would be absolutely unbelievable. Again, I look at that and I think you're very, very right. There's going to be a lot of that swim power up front, or not even necessarily like, long distance to gaps in this, we're going to see a big group. Sam Laidlow, if it's like last time where he did an attack, he sort of did backstroke. Sam Laidlow there. Magnus will be probably just behind, if Gustav and Christian front pack, Robert Wilczeki up the front. Like there's going to be a real decent group, and then it's going to come down to who can stick on the bike together because Sam is going to be going for that bike course record. Magnus is going to be there. Christian and Gustav last time stuck with Magnus and then he got a penalty obviously, but they were together. Then you've got like the Rasmus Svenningsons, the Leon Chevaliers. Clement Mignon was so impressive in Nice last year until he sort of blew. Like he was the only guy that could really go with Sam for most of it. So I'm expecting to see him do something really special. And then you just look at these runners, mate. Like it's going to be. I mean, I don't see any world unless something goes drastically wrong where Christian Blumenfeld doesn't win it. But I don't think Gustav is probably. I mean, he's come out saying that he's bit like he's it's going to be close if he gets to the shape that he needs to be in. So I think we're going to see him really feature on the swim and bike, and maybe the run won't quite be there. But there's some. I mean, just looking at it at this point, like who do you want to like? Let's not talk about the podiums. We'll save that for a bit closer to the race. But this far out, like who are the ones to watch for you on that start list? What are the names where you go? Okay, they are not necessarily a favorite. They're probably not a major like a name that everybody would say straight away. But who are the ones that you would say like watch this person? I think they're worth paying attention to.
Well, I mean, I'm a bit biased, but I think Rasmus
I
Svenningsson
knew
is a
you.
name. Yeah, he's a name that may not be a favorite going into this, but he is 100% someone to watch. Winner of Ironman South Africa earlier in the year, and then been on the down low due to injury, but not an injury that carries any particular
Can you say what it
effect.
was?
I think he broke his collarbone.
Okay.
So he didn't do any more racing other than that. And he's going to be very strong, very powerful going into this race, I think.
I saw him preparing with Robert Callan the other day. Like those two of the strongest, like absolutely strongest cyclists in the sport.
Yeah, without question. Without
You
question.
gave me a look then. I thought, does he not know who I'm talking about?
No, no, no. I thought you were going to say something. I
No,
thought
no,
you had
no.
something to follow. So I was
No.
waiting for,
Just trying to
yeah,
lay you
yeah,
up, mate, for a
without
slam
question.
dunk. Yeah, there's an
Yeah,
opportunity like that.
it's
Absolutely. For
two of the strongest cyclists in the sport.
anyone else, any other names that you see and you're like, okay, that's one that I'm putting as like a one to watch, like, could do something very special on the day.
Yeah, I mean, I would echo what you said a minute ago. I think Clement Mignon would be worth watching. I don't think he's got a win in him, but I think, from what we saw in Nice and how well he did until he blew, probably his first time racing in Kona, but it'd be
No, no,
interesting to
he
see
was
how he
he was
does. Is it
ninth.
not?
He was ninth in 2022.
Oh, well, there you go. So he's got a top 10 in him in already.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he'd be worth keeping an eye on um into this. I
I'm
don't
looking,
think we'll see anything from some of the someone like Lionel Sanders. I'm not expecting much from, for example.
yeah, same. Uh, the first one that comes to mind for me, names to watch, is Trevor Foley, especially
Okay.
after that again, I think that people don't understand that Lake Placid run. What are you on 2:36? That is a tough run course. So that is a very, very good run from Trevor Foley. I think this might be his first Kona. I say that very unconfidently. He might have been there 2 years ago. In fact, I think maybe he was. I can't remember. I'm making it up as I go. Uh, the other one, Jackson Laundry's bike split. I know, yes, I know the course was short. Fucking hell. God almighty.
Still
Yes.
good though.
Again, and I think Joe made the point on his podcast or on his YouTube video that if you actually look at the speed and everything, it's still a world record level bike ride. And again, Kona is a flat bike course. So I think Jackson could,
What do you? How do you think Patrick Lang will go?
good man. Yeah, I'm watch Patrick Lang. I think he is probably loving the fact that again, considering he's like number two and he came second last time and he's won this race twice, he always flies under the radar. He has had a very, very weird year this year where he has been
Yeah, yeah. That's
like
why I ask, really.
I expect fireworks from like he's actually going to be my like dark horse pick, I think. If yeah, I think that he will surprise let's get this on the record. He is one of a handful of people that I think could legitimately win this race. To me, looking at the start list, I could there's not even three or four people I think like kind of similar to what we said with the Olympics, right? I think there are names that could definitely win this. There's a large group that could definitely podium. And then there's almost everybody probably could get a top 10 on the right conditions. But yeah, I would definitely be putting Patrick Lang as a potential winner of this race just because he's so good at this race, right? Like and
Yeah, yeah.
Nice again, watch out for Patrick Lang. I mean, like, yeah. I'm just thinking any other like again, Mike Phillips, you talked about your guy. I'll talk about Mike. Mike has really focused on this race, especially since Ironman Cairns. He went to Europe, did a really big block of training. We've been doing so much work on, developing this new speed suit that he'll be wearing with purpose, one of his sponsors. Like, I mean, me and Mike are basically kit developers at this point. Mike more so than me, and I know that Mike will appreciate me talking about that. Kasper Stepaniak, the Polish guy, very, very good, you know, just all-round athlete. Don't expect him to win, but I think he could, you know, impact the race. Kieran Linder's mate, again, after what he did when he, you know, got that second place, another one that could just like do something special. But I mean, to me, I look at the guys with the really good. I mean, Dave McNamee, another one, right? Dave McNamee has had a shit year. I think is a reasonable thing to say by Dave's standards. But again, weirdly, as a Scotsman, to be so good in the heat, and it will have that killer run. I just don't know what the gap's going to be and if he can bring it up. But you know, he's podiumed here twice before. So another one I think you just got to always watch out for. Mate, there's like I said, there's so many. And Matt Burton, right? What Matt Burton did on the bike in Cairns, super bike. There's a lot of bike power. So I think that what we'll probably see is yes, there'll be that group up the front, but there's going to be real power come from behind. How's Rasmus's swim? Like, is he going to be coming from behind a little bit or
Yeah, I would think so. Second group maybe, you know. He's not a bad swimmer, but he ain't up there with the front group, I don't think. I'm interested to see what Ben Canute can do in this and as well.
again? I have a lot of respect for Ben. He's another one that sort of just goes under the radar and you know podiumed at 70.3 Worlds a couple of years ago, 2022, I think it was. So
Mm.
so definitely another one that you know be on your radar. I think that
And
yeah,
Cam
that
Worth's there as well. I love that. I
this
love
is
that
what
for him.
this is what I mean though, right? If you look at that group behind, because the lead group's going to have the Sams and the Christians and the Gustavs, probably Magnus. I think Magnus will be there or thereabouts, or he'll maybe be just behind. But that group with the Rasmus, the Jasper, the Cam Worth, the Matt Burton, the Leon Chevalier, like that Lionel Sanders, there's a shit ton of bite power. There's an absolute fucking motorcade of very strong cyclists who could come from behind. I don't think they'll necessarily catch up to the group, but they could put time back into that group if they, you know, work together. I really think we could see a decent group. Just depend on how it goes at the front. If Sam does really commit to the breakaway and do what we seen him do at a few other races, but I think we could see some really exciting racing this year. It is going to be interesting having it happen without the Yarn factor. And you know, I know that we didn't see Yarn there in 2022 or whatever, but this is the first Kona that Yarn has retired, which will be. I'm guessing he'll be there probably in a broadcast capacity or in some sort of capacity. He was in Nice, so that's a little bit interesting. And again, no Joe. Joe's going to be over there doing broadcast work with Ironman, which is cool that they listened and they've brought him over. So I think that'll make the broadcast a lot better. Uh,
Agreed. It really will. It really will. He'll add an element of interest and
no
diamond.
Alistair Brownlee either.
No Alistair Brownlee, no. Yeah, shame. But he's racing
Yeah,
T100, so
yeah, yeah. Anyway, should we talk about Supertri Toulouse?
yeah, man. Why not? Why
Let's have,
not?
let's have a chat.
Women's race first.
Let's do it.
What did you think of the women's race, Mr. Ford?
It was great. Very, very
Yeah,
generic answer. It was great. Uh,
yeah, it really was. It
good to
really
see.
was.
Good to see Kate back on the podium. Again, I work with Kate obviously, so I know that she's been sort of having an up and down year uh, after the Olympics. Got sick in America. You know, didn't have the London race she wanted, so to get back on the podium. I know she didn't have an ideal prep leading into it, so that was really, really great. But Georgia Taylor Brown continues just to go kaboom, kaboom, kaboom. She's basically unbeatable now this year in the series. Uh, Toulouse is the best course in short distance, right? If not, I'd almost say it's the best course in triathlon at the moment. It is awesome. What a good venue for a race. What did you think of it?
Yeah, I think it's a stunning place to watch some racing. I think I absolutely love watching Super Tri racing unfold. I think it's brilliant. I love the intensity of it. I love the close finishes, and I thought the course played a big part in this one. You know, for example, with Cassandra Beaugrand getting gapped on the bike as she did on the first leg because of the technicality of the course, but then using her run power and run speed to run her way back up to fourth in the end, despite then getting disqualified.
Yeah, isn't it? It's like what's going on with this Toulouse place? Because we saw the same thing happen last year to Jean Leher, where she got disqualified. And again,
What was she disqualified for? I missed the detail.
the helmet wasn't strapped up in
Oh,
transition.
okay.
And again, I get it, but I have to admit that when Tim Don was on, he's like, I want to have it. I was like, shut the fuck up, Tim Don. I'm so sick of you being such a sooky bitch about the rules sometimes. It makes good drama for TV, But I do feel like, and I don't know whether he's just playing a character or whatever, but it does feel like he's always sort of complaining about like, just stop it, mate. Just it's not a good look for you. But obviously it was legitimate because they watched the clock back and she got the DQ. I do love to see a bit of fire from Macca then, like fucking. But yeah, Cassandra Belgrand did get the DQ, unfortunately. I mean, I still haven't even seen the footage. They didn't. That's the one. This is what Supertri does, sort of not be great. Maybe it's they put it up on their socials. I'm not sure. But during the race, they didn't show it. But yeah, GTB just doing GTB things, mate. To see her bounce
Yeah,
back.
Georgia Taylor Brown took the win ahead of Taylor Spivey, Kate Woff, and then Jess Fulgar. But obviously, Cassandra Brogard finished fourth on the road, disqualified later on, ahead of Emma Lombardi in fifth. It left the lead standings with GTB leading with 45 points ahead of Taylor Spivey with 39 and Jeanne Lahair in third, also in third, but with 39. There must be a placings. Must have decided who's in second and third. Cassandra Brogard in fourth with 36 points and Kate Woff in fifth with 34. So Kate's doing well, mate.
Jess Fulgar has really impressed me this season. You know,
Yeah, currently sitting in seventh. Yeah, very consistent.
again, it's kind of like the Rico Bogan thing, right? Where every race Jess is in, she ain't sitting like she's not letting the race dictate her performance. She's taking it to the race. She's at the front constantly, really attacking, putting pressure on the others, and just it's just always that last triathlon she seems to falter a little bit. Like, same with Olivia Mathias, who we've seen at all of them until this one. But yeah, Jess has been a standout for me. I think it's been really good to see. And then like the fact that Georgia's just come back to the level that I probably didn't expect her to come back after those injuries and how she was a bit off the pace in Paris and stuff. I probably didn't expect to see her come back to be so dominant, and it's awesome, man. Like watching Georgia do this, there's something I don't know. All is right with the world, I suppose, in a way. But I still think that I put up a thread this week. Make Will McCloy the commentator for every fucking triathlon event on the planet, please. He is so
Yeah.
goddamn good at this that seriously, Ironman, call him up, get him over for Hawaii, T100, get him to Vegas, get him to Dubai. Every time, World Triathlon, get him for Spain next weekend. Just get Will McCloy doing the commentary for these triathlon events because I mean, Will McCloy, I know you listen sometimes, mate. Set up an alternate commentary on your own goddamn channel and I'll can watch it. Please, like charge people. I don't care. He's so good at this, and I think he needs to be doing more. But Supertri, the women's race was really, really good. It's the one thing that I didn't realize that caught me off guard a little bit was the short shoot this time. Because interestingly, on the last triathlon, the third one, they did 2 laps instead of one on the run. The first two was just 1 lap of the run. So they used the short shoot twice. And I saw Kate, who got the short shoot, the second lap go to, and I had a panic attack. I thought, what the fuck are you? You're going to disqualify. You can't use the short shoot twice, but they could. So that was an interesting little wrinkle. But man, again, Toulouse, the crowds, everything, just a great venue for great racing, and I think we saw that in women's race.
And you know, silly little details like in it, they get the branding right on the barriers. It
Yeah,
looks like a professionally finished race. You don't have cones everywhere. You don't have empty branded areas. You don't see they get the use of space right. It doesn't seem empty. It doesn't seem they get all that stuff correct, and
and
it seems to really work.
the camera angles and stuff, right? Like
Yeah.
there's a lot more fixed cameras on this course. But you're right, and again, this isn't us, and I know that me and you probably do pay more attention to this, but a lot of the conversation over the course of the race in the Patreon group or the WhatsApp group was around the branding. Like people saying, like, look at the branding, compare this to a T100 race, like it really does make a difference, right? And that's all potential advertising, right? Like that's what it should be. Yeah. Anyway, it looks really good. It looks good. It is, like I said, my favorite venue for a race anywhere in the world at the moment. I think Toulouse absolutely nails it. Let's talk about the men's race.
What a fucking finish.
Did not
What a finish.
did not expect it at all. Like,
No, no, amazing. It was really cool. Like really cool watching them because they were fighting till the very last minute to get that victory. Hayden's shoe had come off, so
yeah,
he was obviously a little slight disadvantage, limping his way down, but he
on
he
cobbles
wasn't
too.
holding back, was he? Yeah, it can't have been fun.
I honestly thought he was toying with them. Like at no point did I ever think it was. I would have bet all money. I would if I was a betting man, I would have put all the money on Hayden to win this. So even when they started to gap him a little bit, I was like, nah, you just watch. He's gonna absolutely destroy them. And then he came down without a shoe, and I went, oh no, oh no,
Yeah.
no, 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 this isn't good. But Vasco, I actually didn't realize this was the first time he's won a Super Tri event, which
I didn't
which
either. I didn't either.
surprises
But
me, I suppose. I think,
yeah, well deserved.
yeah, mate, he has been one of those what's the word, like a beacon of an icon of Super Tri for years now. So absolutely well deserved. And then Tim Helvig showing that that gold medal at the Olympics ain't no fluke. Another absolutely class athlete. Really just great racing. The only thing I do find a little bit with this format is it does sort of the first two races don't really matter. Like it isn't so much about that until like I mean you get a finish like this, but brilliant. So can you give us the top five? Because I can't remember who was behind Hayden.
Yeah, Vasco Vlasa in first, Tim Helwig in second, Hayden Wild in third, Leah Berger in fourth, and Kenji Nina in fifth. The
Kenjanina.
standings.
Yeah, sorry, you go.
Sorry, yeah, standings. Hayden Wild is leading on 44 points with Leo Berger in second on 39, Tim Helwig in third on 37. Vasco Velasa, following this performance, is in fourth on 36, and Matt Hauser's in fifth on 35.
So Kenjanina is much like what I was talking about with Jess Fulger, another athlete that just makes watching Super Try wonderful. And watching his post race interview, why didn't Australia keep him as an Australian athlete? Like he left him, he's representing Japan, but he's so well presented, he's so well spoken. Like he is. Yeah, I'm a big Kenjanina fan. And then the other part of this that I fucking loved was seeing Vincent Louis just back at the front, absolutely ripping this race for the first, 85% of this race. Vince was back to his best. And as we've seen most of these races, he just falling off the pace a bit at the back end. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, he'd done a lot. He was doing, he had a job to do, didn't he?
mm,
So he was doing a job of work for that day to set the race up for Hayden to win. Hayden didn't win, but yeah, I think Shu might have had a certain aspect of that, but you can't take the victory away from Vasco.
no,
He played his cards exactly as he should have done. And with the men's and women's races as they were, the team standings now have Crown Racing leading on 3-2-3, ahead of Podium Racing, Stars and Stripes, and Brownie Racing.
what's the
Podium
gap?
Racing are 309 in second, 271 in third, 226. So yeah, Crown Racing, Podium Racing. It's there's movement there. There could be, but it looks like Crown Racing are going to take it.
It's funny. If the start of this year, I would have said Stars and Stripes were by far the weakest team. Like I really wouldn't have thought we'd see Branley Racing. Like Branley Racing have not done anything since Alex E won that first race in Chicago, Boston, whatever the first one was. They just, yeah, like I said, Jess Fulger and Olivia Mathias have been up there at the start of the race, but when it comes to the actual points, they just keep, the men in particular have just been doing nothing. Johnny
Yeah.
Brownlee, worth talking about, made his return. First time we've seen him race in a long time this year since that European event pre-Olympics. Got a penalty, crashed the day before the race, so was sort of not really there, but just invisible, man. Like I'm not used to seeing a Brownlee so far off the pace. It's a very interesting, I guess, period of his career for Jonathan Brownlee because we talk about the Henrys and the Yellow Gains, and I know Vince Louis and Martin Van Riel, like a lot of these guys transition into middle. I would have expected to see Johnny Brownlee get a wild card at some point. I'm guessing he was injured, but yeah, I don't know what he's doing. I'm curious to see where the next steps are. And then Max Stapley got
Yeah,
a
I don't know what he's doing either. I don't know where he's going. He didn't get that last Olympics that he wanted.
mm,
Um, he's still racing Super League, Super Tri, sorry.
mm.
What's the next step, mate? Are you gonna just go middle, go long, or just, hang it up?
Yeah. Yeah, I hope not. I hope come on, Johnny, go long, mate. Just learn from your brother's mistakes. Draw a line in the sand. Go the Jan Frodeno approach. I'm a middle long distance athlete now.
Yeah.
And Max Stapley, I was going to say, got a penalty, didn't serve it, got disqualified. And his post race thing basically said, it's very hard to pay attention to that sort of stuff when you're absolutely at the red line. So yeah, Max is a good guy. I don't think he meant anything by it. But that was Super Try, mate. Exciting. We got one more race to go in just under a month. We head to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for what is the most exciting course on the planet. We go from the most exciting course to Actually, not the most boring anymore. I think the London T100 course was probably worse. Uh, one of the worst courses, but yeah, I guess the drama and what the race means is pretty exciting. So, and it'll be fascinating every time we go back to Neom. It seems to have changed a lot. So who knows? We could get there this time. It could be a fully developed city. I don't know. We'll see. That's it. I think we're
That's
done.
us, isn't it?
That's it.
Yeah.
Jimbo, where can people find out more about talking triathlon?
If you want to support the show, jump on at patreon.com/talking triathlon. If you want to follow Tim, he's at T414 on Insta, and I'm at bale.james85 on Insta. We are on Instagram at Talking Triathlon. If you want to join the Patreon group, you'll get access to the monthly bonus episode and the social group and access to the WhatsApp group that we reference and refer to constantly. So yeah, it certainly is it's what makes the show tick.
It certainly is. Also, YouTube. Head to YouTube. That's where we like to get your thoughts. Let us know who
Oh, yeah,
your
we're on YouTube.
wild cards are, or not wild cards, who your sort of outside chances are for the Ironman World Championships. Let us know your general thoughts. Are you excited about the PTO World Triathlon announcement? Are we completely wrong? We know. I heard it. I get it. I should have checked Strava last week. Heaven forbid I didn't, when it's 5:30 in the morning when we're recording. Yes. Thank you guys. We appreciate you all that stuff. Patreon.com, WhatsApp group, bonus episode. Jimbo, a pleasure as always. Talk to you later.
Cheerio.